Hi, it's me, Andre, and here is the BMW F450 GS, which today surprised, disappointed, surprised, disappointed, and in the end, I think, scored pretty well overall. In front of us is a motorcycle that is the successor to the G310 model, but honestly, there's no point in even comparing this machine to the 310. The only thing these two machines have in common is that they're produced in India. That one was made there, and this one is currently made there too. But don't think that this is just an Indian motorcycle with a BMW sticker, because this machine was completely designed from scratch by the BMW team in Germany. It's just that the production takes place over there. Just to be clear, TVS, the Indian company, has the right, because I said, okay, but surely they won't steal the technology and start building this motorcycle themselves. Well, no, because they only have the right to use the engine, but only the engine. The rest, TVS has to design on their own when it comes to electronics, chassis, suspension, brakes, and so on. So without a doubt, there won't be an Indian copy like that available anywhere in the world. And maybe that's what made this motorcycle so interesting. And actually so good, because BMW really put effort into this machine. The 310 was just a gap filler, but this one is full-sized. An interesting piece of equipment for people who have an A2 category driver's license or are simply looking for a lightweight machine because they're not tall, not heavy, they're petite, whether it's a man, a woman, or someone young. The goal was for this motorcycle to capture the character of the GS, and in terms of off-road handling, it somewhat does and somewhat doesn't, which I'll get to in a moment. But let's be honest, it looks fantastic, especially in this paint scheme. Lots of accessories, as is typical for the GS. We can personalize this motorcycle ourselves. There are 4 models to choose from, ranging from the basic one to the most fully equipped trophy version. The price starts at $30,000. I estimate that this one will cost around $35,000 to $36,000. But is it worth it? Exactly, because if we're looking for competition, it's either Chinese motorcycles or supposedly Italian, but produced in China, and they will probably be 5,000 to 10,000 zlotys cheaper than this bike. And this is where it gets interesting, because this motorcycle, if you look at it on paper, won't have any competition. Much better electronics, much better suspension, a list of accessories. Not to mention the brand itself, which stands not only for the BMW badge, but also for the entire dealer and service network, service campaigns. Because let's remember, this is a new motorcycle. And recently, there has been a lot of talk about service campaigns, for example, with Honda. The problem isn't that there might be a recall to replace something, but rather how that campaign is carried out and how quickly and efficiently it is completed. Let's move on to the interesting stuff. The engine, 2 cylinders, 48 horsepower, 40-something Newton meters, according to the magazine. As usual, I'll write the exact figures. A steel trellis frame, nice looking, very simple and rigid. A bolted-on subframe, so if you do a backflip and crash, you can just replace the rear of the motorcycle instead of it being a total loss right away. The basic suspension has no adjustment, but the sport suspension, which I really recommend paying extra for, comes with adjustability. And it's from Kayaba, and you can feel how this suspension works both on asphalt and off-road. It just works really well. It absorbs shocks very well, it works great. Of course, there have been comments that for some people it's too soft, for others it bottoms out, and for others still it's too stiff. And again, we have different preferences here. For me, the most important thing is that this suspension isn't dull. You can simply feel that it's working, you feel that it grips and gives everything it has to offer. The engine has an interesting 165-degree crank configuration. Piotrek Jędrzejak from MotoGim put it nicely, saying that it's something between a single and a twin-cylinder engine. It revs up eagerly, but you can feel how the pistons, the cylinders, fire one after another very closely, which gives a great sensation at the throttle. From 3,000 RPM, we already have 80% of the torque available. And here you really feel that this motorcycle pulls very, very efficiently from low revs and eagerly revs up. And the only thing is that later on you don't get a big value, a lot of power, because it's just a 450. On the highway, well, exactly. It depends on where you live. Riding on highways with this motorcycle can be quite troublesome in Poland because everyone drives really fast here. The speed limit is 140 kilometers per hour, but everyone is still speeding in the left lane at 150 to 160 kilometers per hour. With this motorcycle, today I think I reached a maximum speed of 162 kilometers. Thank you. Per hour, and even at 120 already, it was running at 6,000 to 7,000 revolutions per minute, so the engine was already revving quite high. For a twin-cylinder engine. The vibrations weren't bad. It's not that it vibrates a lot, I'd even say this engine vibrates very little, but still, the frequency of the vibrations is characteristic of a small engine, and in the long run, traveling long distances at highway speeds will simply be tiring, so it's better to avoid them. We started riding the trophy version with this automatic clutch, which is a solution similar to Recluse. We've already seen it in the MV Agusta, and in the MFA, I'll announce it as such. It didn't catch on. Interestingly, the same kind of clutch, working in a similar way, can be found in the KTM 1390, which I wrote about recently. There's a test in the current issue. The idea is cool, especially for off-road riding. You don't have to use the clutch. You just put it in first gear, ride and shift through the gears. The clutch lever is still there, so at any moment you can use the clutch if needed. It's a nod to people who have less experience riding on asphalt or less experience in general when it comes to off-road riding. At first, we all kind of complained that it tends to use high revs quite often to get going and that we could do it better ourselves. But after some time, especially when riding on gravel and so on, you have to admit that for less experienced people, it's actually a really good solution. It's a pity that for now we can only buy the trophy version. With this clutch, well, if someone just wants to have a light motorcycle for fun, because this machine weighs 178 kilograms with fuel, then they might prefer a regular clutch and this bike. What's important and interesting is that you can freely change it, you can buy it separately, and maybe it will be available soon. There's an option in the configurator where you simply swap out the clutch and it works. You'll be able to have the trophy with a regular clutch, which, by the way, works great because we rode this motorcycle with a regular clutch. The gearbox shifts very smoothly, it's very precise. The quickshifter, both up and down, functions exceptionally smoothly for this specific category of motorcycle. So after all that complaining about the clutch, we started having fun with these bikes. And it's actually a really playful machine. It handled great on asphalt corners. In the first part of the day, especially since we were riding on knobby tires, we were impressed. It's got great grip here and handles lightly. Then finally, we hit the gravel roads. And we hit the gravel and everyone goes, finally we're riding off-road. Because honestly, we were expecting to spend much more of today on gravel and trails. Suddenly we all dive in thinking, all right, now we're going to push these 450s, it's going to be wild. And then suddenly what happens? The front of the motorcycle starts to slide out on us and suddenly we begin to lose grip at the front. And I say, hey, seriously, what's going on? And here I joke that at least they managed to keep the character of the GS, because on the big 1300 GS, you don't feel the front end either. Here too, we can't feel how much grip we have at the front. The difference is that on the 1300 GS, you don't feel the grip, but it's there because it just sticks to the road. But here you don't feel it and suddenly it just disappears on you. Again, I talked to Vlad Novotny and a few other people and it didn't bother them. And I think I have a theory. It didn't bother lighter people. Vlad is very petite. Everything suited him here while riding off-road. Well, he said the suspension was a bit soft, but it responds very well to adjustments because I was tinkering with the suspension here. But for heavier people, the front would slide out, probably because it was very soft in the back. The spring was set up, the preload was loosened, and what I also noticed is that the entire rider's posture on this motorcycle is shifted far back. The motorcycle has a very short wheelbase. If we pulled the wheel further back, I think the weight distribution could be better and the problem might disappear. So here, the bigger issue is that we only had half a day of riding, and out of that half day, only about 20% was off-road riding, because we couldn't check it to tinker with the suspension and look for solutions. Because when I put more weight on the front, it was a bit better, but you know, I'm thinking, damn, this is a motorcycle for beginners. So it can't be that a beginner has to know that they need to load the front so the bike handles better. So it was kind of like, suddenly there was this drop in enthusiasm, like, what's going on here? What's this even about? Still, this engine gave us a lot of joy, because in second or third gear, there was no problem giving it some gas, lifting the front a bit to jump over an obstacle or lighten it up to get over a rock. So the engine really handled itself excellently. The brakes just as much on asphalt as off-road. Strong power, good, firm lever. I don't like firm levers, but others here liked it. But on the other hand, for example, the lever is set very far away. And again, the motorcycle is small for people who can ride it, who aren't tall, but the lever is far away. And it seems to me that it might not be very comfortable. Big plus for the electronics. And here we move on to motorcycles that will be 5,000 to 10,000 zlotys cheaper. Well, they won't have this. they will have, for example, the option to turn off the ABS, maybe just at the rear. But here we have different modes for riding on asphalt or off-road. The ABS reacts differently, and we can set everything up in this menu, just like the one known from BMW. Traction control, 6-axis, AMU sensor, cornering ABS. Basically, everything here works exactly as it should. And as I mentioned during tests of Chinese motorcycles, things are supposedly there. But it's as if they don't quite work together, not completely. Thoroughly tested and precisely calibrated. Here, every single detail is exactly where it needs to be. Next, we switched over to the road version, the sport version, and finally took it out to experience the open asphalt. And I said, hey, wait, what's going on? Why did I ride better on the asphalt with the other one, and this one started to feel a bit unstable, and so on? It turned out, well, we were probably riding it a bit too fast, right from the start. We stopped for coffee, and I said I had to do something about it. We took out the tools, and that's another plus. The toolkit is in the back. A wrench. I adjusted the spring preload. I made some precise adjustments to the hydraulics on the suspension system. First, I turned the rebound damping up by 5 clicks. Then I adjusted the compression damping by 3 clicks. And finally, I increased the rear rebound damping by an additional 5 clicks to optimize the overall performance. And suddenly the motorcycle was khalas, ready for action. Sticking to the corners, I still felt that the front was, let's call it, light. I would like more weight at the front of this motorcycle, but if it were my bike, I would try to pull out, add a link to the chain, move the rear wheel back using the adjustment. I would also play around with the suspension a bit more, and I think it would be top-notch. If someone is a beginner, just starting out with an A2 license, then what I'm saying right now is more like, just so you're aware that it can be like this. But when riding calmly, this motorcycle really behaved perfectly. Again, great suspension, great engine, great throttle response, everything is predictable. And when we started to ask more of it, it turned out that it still maintained its level. And here again, I come back to this competition, or rather non-competition, because I can't think of a motorcycle that would have similar performance. But we're talking about the cheaper motorcycles here, that if you push this motorcycle to its limit, it will say, okay, go ahead. So I was sliding it sideways, riding it on the rear wheel, riding it on the front wheel. I just did everything with it. We were throwing it into corners very quickly, riding extremely dynamically, and it handled all of it. Cheaper machines have this characteristic that their limit is actually closer. I tried riding Chinese motorcycles this aggressively, and they just get lost. The suspension starts to bounce, the ABS gets confused, and the traction control begins to jerk the motorcycle. I'm not saying it's like that in all of them, but in every one, there was always something not quite right. And here we have a machine, and honestly, I don't care whether it's a BMW or not, M2, we have a machine from an experienced European brand that knows that to make a motorcycle, you need at least 4 years of testing, experienced engineers, experienced testers, and only then do we give such a motorcycle to customers. That's it. It was supposed to be brief, but I guess it didn't turn out that way. I'll organize all of this on paper in a moment, so there will be a test in issue number 3, 2026. This really was a good event with a good motorcycle. Still not perfect for me, but it's really close now. For this price, it's great. Best regards.